consider also the Ezreal is gone by default by Fearless. Yep. And the Jhin is gone as well. Varus is now gone, so we're already basically off the meta in terms of bot lane.
Draven priority has never been this high ever. As we do zoom in on Jackie's face here, let's see whether that is going to be a consideration for a first pick. It is a dangerous one, as of course now we're in the territory where, you know, things like Zeri start to crop up and stuff like that.
I would love to see Zeri, not necessarily as a first pick, but in a comp for TES, because I think their team fight is incredibly strong. And Rumble will come through here, which will give 369 the opportunity to win most lane matchups here.
This is the scary part.
Is left up, though. They banned the Vi, they banned the Zyra, first pick the Rumble, and now they get HongQ's Azir, and JunJia gets to play Skarner. So Rumble, that's a great start, but they also got 2 amazing picks on their side as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of power in this one, too. The Sylas going to be coming through now, though. Sylas into Azir is something that we've been no stranger to throughout the years. Stealing away Emperor's Divide has been powerful, but it can be difficult somewhat in the laning phase. We'll see how Creme's going to do. Of course, an incredibly accomplished Sylas player. We've seen him already play it this tournament and looked real, real good. And we'll see whether the young 17-year-old will be able to put him through his paces. One last pick here before we get into our next round of bans from CFO.
Lock in your top laner here for Driver, and it's going to be the Sion. He's already played this pick.
He be driving.
Yep, and he likes to dance after he wins on this pick. And it's very, you know, obviously the Rumble's going to have a lot of advantages early, but like the Cassante could have done in Game 1 for 369, it could weather the storm, be low eco, and make an impact later on. It could also do some shenanigans at level 1. We'll see if they end up going for that later on. A lot of that will depend on the bottom lane matchup. So now, we've already gotten so many AD carries banned away here, and we're going to just thin them out further. Supports also could be targeted here, but this is where things get a little bit weird, and we try to figure out which bottom lane champions actually suit these compositions. I mentioned before, I thought Zeri would be a pick I think TES can play well with their team fight ability. Now I'm not so sold on it for their composition.
Yeah, it is a little bit difficult. Of course, there's no, like, clear let's just lock down a Zeri type pick. If we see a Nautilus ban, then maybe Zeri feels a whole lot better. I actually think it works on CFO's side really effectively.
If you just ban Nautilus here, you have pick priority. Maybe they ban the Zeri, but then you get a free Zeri ban out of it. If you just ban Nautilus here, you threaten that, then you have support counter pick for Kaiwing as well. It's a really nice position and draft because they've already got a great frontline, great scaling. They take away the Draven, so they don't ban Nautilus, but Draven would be one of those other picks that can punish and push the Zeri in really hard early.
Yep, I actually really like the Draven ban away. Braum going to be taken away from Kaiwing here, but Braum doesn't feel like a Kaiwing champion. Feels like he wants to be on something that's a lot more about going forward, and we know Engage Braum is a myth. And not something that we should ever think actually exists. But Nautilus now is just a pick on 4 could really work out because you pick the Nautilus makes it a lot harder for your opponent to pick something like a Zeri.
Yeah. I feel like if you pick Nautilus, it's tough for them to play Zeri. Zeri doesn't suit their comp. You lock in Zeri as that 5th pick, and you feel good into almost anything. See what it ultimately ends up being here as time is out, and they're going to do exactly that. I mean, you and I are mind-linked on this, and I feel like CFO see the angle as well. It just feels so obvious here. The Braum ban just doesn't really hit for me, especially when you don't know what the bottom 2v2 is going to look like. It's not that strong of a pick at this moment in time necessarily, and they could have support counter pick anyways, so let's see what their answer is going to be. Is it going to be like Jinx Lulu? I mean, that kind of works for me here because you could set up those resets.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind something like that. Something with a little bit of extra power. Even if you just go Caitlyn Lux and say, yeah, bring it, you know, see what you can do.
I'm not sure if this one hits the mark for me, though, Atlus. Ooh. I like the Poppy a little bit more. It's strong into a lot of these champions, but the Corki is otherwise very risky.
Yeah, the Poppy is great denial. Would have been actually a decent pick for Kaiwing to go with as well, but instead it goes over to the other side. But it does open up the lane, right? You're not looking at Corki Poppy and being like, oh, I'm very scared of what they're going to be doing to me in the early game in the neutral.
You can pick so many picks here. The Zeri one feels the most obvious. Caitlyn was a good pick as well here, and will do very well into the Corki Poppy. You could have also gone for, if you want to be so bold and be so crazy, is to play something like a Felios here, because you have so much frontline.
Yeah.
And even getting through some of the weaker points of Caitlyn won't necessarily be a problem here, as long as they have a stable early to mid game, which they were able to do despite giving up first blood in game 1. The one thing I'm worried about with the Caitlyn is when she's at her weakest is when some of these champions here for TS are going to be at the strongest. Right when Corki's hitting his 2-item spike, when Sylas is going to be looking to big skirmish, he's got a lot of great ultimates to steal here in this composition. So that's the danger point here, I feel, for CFO right around the mid-game. But the scaling with this, when Caitlyn starts to really get online and the Sion becomes unkillable, the Skarner becomes unkillable, HongQ's damage is insane, you can start matching in sides, that's when things get really scary for top esports. If they fall behind like they did in the mid-game in Game 1, I feel like there's no way out with this comp.
It is really difficult. One of the things that I will draw your attention to is the fact that last time we had that 3-threat comp that they've been really good at playing around. This is definitely 2-threat, and unfortunately it's kind of 1.5 threat when you're talking about that mid-game that you were saying. And they've got like 1-item power spikes to come in, like the Rumble getting Leandri's, things like this. You've got the 2 items to come through from the Sylas. It's so scary. You're exactly right. Like the mid-game spike on top esports' side is so scary. But they've weathered storms before, and CFO have been really, really smart in where they've executed on their compositions. I'm hoping that they know exactly when they're capable of executing this time around, what they need to give away and what they need to fight for, because this composition could certainly find itself in a bit of a slump that they cannot really get out. You know, like there's some big potholes in the road.
Yeah.
And thankfully they've got a guy called Driver. And so, like, when it comes to being able to get around these potholes, he wouldn't be named that if he couldn't navigate it. Right, Wolf?
That's right.
Let's have a listen, see whether these fan chants are going to work out. Not bad.
Solid.
Yeah, I reckon we got the, like, nothing was really all that coordinated, but I think we all got the message. We figured it out.
We had 2 clear voices, or 2 groups of voices, rather.
Yeah,
They weren't all at the exact same time, but they were on the same.
There's 2 factions of both fandoms here in LoL Park today.
Yes.
Very, very cool stuff. I didn't know that there were multiple factions of the same team's fandom.
You know, we talked about the Zeri pick and how it's difficult to play it into the Nautilus. Corki also feels like he has that inherent safety with his Valkyrie, but if you get ulted and you Valk away, you're still going to get caught. You're still going to get knocked up. You're still going to be vulnerable. So somebody to consider as well with that pick. There's a bit of a look in here for Creme, but no level 1 shenanigans this time around.
Yeah, I thought he was going to do something weird. They decided against it, though, as we could see. Just
really
a very defensive start on both sides.
Yeah, it's really important. You see where right now Crisp is, and they check up here as best as they can to figure out if Sion is doing anything funny at level 1, because sometimes you could just, especially with a Caitlyn, even like proxy between the turrets in the bottom lane and just zone the Corki out completely. They won't be doing anything like that. They do get this ward up, so we'll see JunJia start Raptors here, get some additional information. So it feels good for TES and JackeyLove. And at least have one sigh of relief that it's not going to be that kind of laning phase where there's a Sion in this lane.
Well, let's have a look at how this one's going to go. If there's ever a time where Caitlyn has massive power over everyone, it is the early laning phase, as you just have a lot of extra units of range. Kaiwing not going to have accuracy on the anchor to start us off here. As you can see, the health bar is actually not quite working out. Doggo trying to get a few headshots here towards Crisp and JackeyLove, and it looks like they have managed to thin out the wave a little bit better. Another hook going to connect there. There's no steadfast presence just yet, but Kaiwing's lit on fire. And Doggo needing to really put on the pressure, try and lock something down.
Kaiwing feels okay with this, as HongQ doesn't.
Oh dear, yep, there's a few minions trying to help him out here, as HongQ just trying to turn it onto Creme as best he can. Arises another one of these Sand Soldiers, and Creme have to be a little careful, both of them drinking their potions, and now Creme with some chains, not going to land it, as JunJia comes in and just says, Kanavi, please leave.
In my experience watching...
Whoa, there's a flash forward. Shifting Sands comes out as HongQ is going to keep himself alive. No flash required there.
Man.
That's some killer instinct from Kanavi. I don't know whether it necessarily works. There's even more fighting, as now Driver is the one walking away, but he dealt with the minion wave, so I guess he's fine.
Ends up getting the stun here. The minions are on Driver's team on this one.
Yeah, the Flame Spitter is really hurting. Driver still sitting on both his biscuit and his potion. And now 369 landing basically everything. Good flash is going to get Drivers out as well.
That feels really nice here for 369. The wave's in a horrible place here for Driver as well. So really tough for him to actually get that farm. So now 369 will get that natural rumble advantage you'd like to have in this lane. That flash from Kanavi earlier, I feel like it's one of those moments where it doesn't amount to anything too impactful right now, but it's a small zoom in on perhaps some of Kanavi's psyche in this series, where in Game 1 he got first blood but wasn't able to make a big impact. He's been one of the most heavily criticized players at this tournament, and he's like, I see an angle. I'm going to take that chance every time, and unfortunately doesn't come up big with it, but you respect the hustle, so to speak, but it will put him at a small disadvantage here. He's going to look for something else now as Driver shows back up at top lane, didn't teleport.
Oh dear.
Crisp is here too.
Yeah, they're pulling the wave. Driver knows exactly what's going on here. Wants to be able to get rid of these minions as quickly as possible. The heroic charge from Crisp as he dives in. They have to be wary. Will, of course, turn into a zombie, but it looks like they are not going to have the damage to take him out on this push. Now just waiting for this tower to reset. Slowing down Kanavi here as Driver does go down for first blood, but 369's in trouble. Down extraordinarily low, but not going to fall. And now on the other side, let's see whether JackeyLove is going to survive this one. The flash comes out, the Valkyrie there as well. Stun comes on through as Kaiwing's going to be taken out. Jackie is still alive, and it's a disaster for CFO.
JackeyLove played it super well too. Ends up surviving there. Nice fancy footwork, gets out of dodge, and this turns things on its head because that was the cross map that CFO were looking for, knowing Crisp was there on the top side. Man, every time I watch HongQ on this Azir, he's just like constantly trading, constantly threatening kill pressure. And man, this could not be a worse start, unfortunately, here for how things are going for CFO. Now, Driver did not teleport to the top lane, so goes right back up here, but guess what? Kanavi also right back up here.
Yeah, Driver does have a level advantage, but I don't know how much that's going to matter as he's looking to try and escape only level 5, so cannot actually drive his way out of this. Even though he is walking pretty quickly, the flash does come forward. He's got the Soul Furnace shield, and he's fine. Never mind, it's a Sion.
He is unfortunately, though, now down his teleport, but he's up on CS. So at the end of the day, he's not feeling horrible. Actually still has a gold lead. After being killed there on the top side because of that CS advantage. So many minions were dropped by 369 trying to actually execute on those plays. So
and he only got an assist, right? It was Kanavi that grabbed the kill. So the gold lead is in the jungle, so it is still there, but not going to be felt as much in the lane.
Yeah, I mean, Kanavi obviously took some of his minions too when he was proxying there to set up the dive as well. And things went really bad there on the bottom side, and JackeyLove is going to get a bit of a free pass here in lane, which is one of the tougher parts of playing Corki in this composition, is dealing with that Caitlyn and the potential pressure of the Skarner, but he played that bottom side dive so well that now, you know, he's got a gold advantage. Things are going to be feeling a lot more comfortable. He's already got his Sheen picked up, and that's a good boon for him.
Oh, yeah. Now, Doggo up here representing Deft with the DRX skin. You love to see it. And is just going to be catching this wave. Looks like the Grubs should be going over to top esports, though. Not a lot of contest available here on the CFO side with how they're sort of feeling right now. Yeah, and JunJia not even going to risk anything. He's now going to move down towards the Dragon to see whether the cross map is going to be available. But you saw some pings out from top esports. I think maybe considering going for a contest on that one as well.
Yeah, I think also for JunJia, you're like, oh, it's my cross map is a solo Chemtech Dragon, and it's just not the same sort of value for the composition.
Ooh, Chain's going to come on through here as the Emperor's Divide comes down. Creme grabs his own, but Kaiwing is going to turn up. JunJia doesn't have the Impale, but is at least going to get the flash out from Creme, who's playing real fast and loose. Hook, oh, just barely dodged out of the way from, and Creme not going to find his Emperor's Divide.
And while it is delayed, we do have a bit of a lane swap, right? In that JackeyLove has gone to the top side here, pushing into the Sion. Unfortunately, Driver doesn't have teleport, so he's lost a lot on the rotation over. And, you know, JackeyLove is just happy to sit here and hit a Sion and continue to generate gold. They still haven't taken the Dragon bottom side because JunJia went for that play towards mid, which was unsuccessful. And there's just not really a big cross-map opportunity here because Rumble can deal with this Caitlyn pressure a lot better. It could even just equalize the wave to ensure safety here. Everything is set up way better on the map this time around for top esports, so they're just kind of chilling. And this is exactly where you want to be before you hit that 2-item spike on your Corki, before Creme starts to come online, and you could really punish that Caitlyn. So in this second game, things are going according to plan, finally here for top esports.
Yeah, it's really interesting because when it comes to scaling, I think that you'd look at the CFO draft and be like, oh, if you get to ultra late game, it's going to be a disaster. As JackeyLove, once again, utilizing a really nice Valkyrie to get himself out of the way. But now, JunJia going to come in. And Jackie, no mana, no hope. Barrier not going to work out. I don't even think whether that Impale was necessary as Driver, once again with a phenomenally timed shield. And Kanavi, even with the ulti, is not going to be able to lock down any kills. Kaiwing getting himself out of there as his depth charge is stolen away.
Yeah, and you know, obviously the Rumble, he can equalize that first wave, but now is under pressure here, so that means that Creme has to respond, and that's a free push for HongQ here, who's just chilling, and he's like, all right, maybe we can catch somebody on rotation. I think he should be aware that he'll be the one caught if he actually ends up trying to play this one out, but it's a second failed flash opportunity for Kanavi, trying to make a play there on the top side. Driver plays all this incredibly well. He sells this so well, takes that extra auto, comes in for the ult. JackeyLove is like, bro, I have Valkyrie. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you. But JunJia, because he's Skarner, can go over that fat wall and close the gap faster than JackeyLove can realize. And yes, Crispin and Kanavi were coming up, so JackeyLove probably felt like even if the Skarner was coming, he'd feel safe. But look at this shield, like you mentioned, from Driver here.
Oh, man.
Kanavi flashes for the play, was unable to get the Crescent Guard to split as the way he wanted to there, and ends up getting pushed away. Doesn't die, but his flash is once again down.
Yeah, so close. Bit unfortunate, but I just love how Driver plays this. Right on the edge on this Sion every single time. And he's absorbing all of this pressure. Creme now diving forward, does have that depth charge, gets the double knockup, which is really nice, but he gets one in return. There's the Emperor's Divide, and he's pushed into the turret. HongQ will gladly take that kill. As Jackie not there for the follow-up damage. Kaiwing is just fine, over half health, still remaining on this Nautilus. As top esports are getting pushed away, and CFO, even as we start to get towards the mid-game, that's the time where they're starting to pick up some control.
Yeah. And HongQ is just hard farming. Like, he's sitting at 1 kill off of that last play, but he's also just stacking CS. He's 20 CS up on this Sylas, and that
just ballooned as well.
Yeah, like with the trough that we were talking about for Doggo, you know, the Sylas needs to be relevant, and if he keeps getting this far behind, he won't be, and so that punish isn't necessarily going to be there. First Dragon is finally being taken here. It's super late into the game, but it goes over to CFO as well, which buys them some additional time. Going to be Chemtech into Infernal here. And man, things went from great here to really mediocre, unfortunately, for top esports. Now behind on gold as well in this game. They can certainly still come back with a good team fight here on these upcoming objectives, but it is looking tougher and tougher. And if they go for that big fight and fail it, it's looking like a 2-0. I mean, things could not be more on a knife's edge for them. They have to make some proactive play here to get back in the driver's seat. Yeah,
and I think they need to get items in order, right? Like we mentioned already, it's about item spikes here for top esports. You need that Trinity Force there, you need the Dash Cannon in, and you need the Leandries completed here for 369, and then you'll be so extraordinarily strong in a lot of these fights. But right now, it's not necessarily there yet, and as they sort of fail to act on these moments, that's when CFO starts to build like the first defensive item for drivers. Kaiwing? Hello? All right. Just hopped over there, activates the Hex Flash, and somehow it kind of works out as the Peacemaker comes in. Kaiwing down to 100 health. I'm still confused.
I mean, I think they wanted to make a play there, and they were like, okay, Crisp is probably coming. Let's wait and get some more information. A little bit hesitant there, though, means that nothing really comes of it, and it was not the most ideal for Kaiwing. Is 369.
Yeah, well, Drive is driving. And he's still driving. He's driving.
He should be able to get out.
He gets a control ward on the Grump, and he gets himself out. So that's a way to avoid a gank, ladies and gentlemen.
And that's still going to be first turret going over here to CFO.
He's still able to clear out the wave. Oh man, I have a feeling I know which streamer he's been watching. As JackeyLove going to be able to clear him up. And the turret does, in fact, fall down. So that is going to be first turret blood going down. And the kills also over to TES first, so feats of strength, 1 each.
So that was really impactful, actually. They didn't get the execute there or didn't escape and decided to proxy that 1 extra wave, because that allowed JackeyLove to get that feats of warfare stacked. True. Because otherwise, with that turret going over, it looked really good for CFO there, but that was actually a really important moment there. JackeyLove picks up the gold and gets his team feats of strength, so big win here for top esports after what looked like just a bit of shenaniganry there, and a really nice macro play. Ends up kind of backfiring, unfortunately. Still, though, you know, he was able to make it look cool. Give a shout out to Baus.
Yeah. I like it. As soon as Sion gets picked, it's where your mind goes to, but not a lot of the time do you have the actual plays that he makes also somewhat replicated.
It may be in danger here. Still has his flash.
Yeah, JunJia going to be able to come over and steal away the Grump that does now have a control ward on it.
That control ward valuable here because he knows he can kind of just hang out as they clear this wave.
Yeah, Ace in the hole coming on through. JunJia going to be able to take that one down. So now, let's see whether 369 is going to be okay, as Keys' verdict going to get channeled, and Crisp says no thank you.
It's the second time Crisp has bailed out a dive target as well.
Unstoppable Onslaught is not available, but it is for Creme, who is going to be able to take him down with the Kingslayer. Driver, will he be able to find a few autos? Does find a few cheeky ones, but otherwise not too much more to happen.
These are the kind of moments, even though they've been a little bit sloppy, a little bit odd here, that top esports need to get back in this game. Huge wins here. They get feats of strength. JackeyLove picks up the kill. They pick up a kill there onto the Sion again. They stop the dive topside. Great rotation from Crisp, knowing 369 was a potential dive target there. I mentioned he came bottom lane just moments before to stop that dive. The weird shenanigans with Kaiwing now saves 369, makes sure that dive is impossible. He can get that farm in. Has his Leandries online. Kanavi here, you know, is making a lot, like, he's making a lot larger impact than it looked like he was going to with some of the early plays where he was close to making them. And Creme is about to be on that first time, actually, in fact, just picked it up. So this is where TES really hit their stride with this composition. They're behind on gold, but they can change that in these upcoming objective fights.
Yeah,
and they need to.
This is the best part, is the fact that they have 6 grubs. So that is 2 feats of strength, or 2/3 of a feat of strength that they've picked up already as far as those objectives, and they're hitting these items exactly a minute away from this dragon that's coming up. It's going to be Infernal. That's a great one. And as we have a look at the MasterCard lane economy snapshot, it is still going well for CFO, but the top side of the map might be where TES can find their ways back in with this Rumble that now has his Leandries. Try and cut down Shelly in that pit. So let's see what does happen as Driver. Yeah, he's a
Yeah.
Ooh, Chain's going to miss. He's got the Swifties as well. You can see how live he is on his feet right now.
Yeah, he's got a lot of magic resistance as well. He's ready to play.
Yeah. When I was watching Pacific Rim, you know, I thought that they were a bit lumbering, a little bit slow, but this guy making it look fast. As Creme is just going to walk away from him.
Yeah, he's respecting it. Dragon spawns in 5 seconds here, though, and this is where I think top esports really wanted to make that fight happen, right? The final feat of strength will be theirs, but they take it. And, you know, this is where the comp is really very strong.
Ooh, Doggo. Wow, that is a big old chunk there from JackeyLove, who now does have his Trinity Force completed. HongQ, he's got his Sun Disc set up.
He's trying to control bottom side prio here so he can wrap around the way he wants to, but now top esports are on this dragon here. And yeah, JackeyLove doesn't have 2 items, but he's still got that Triforce. He hits hard.
Haven't done a lot of homework though. Doggo and Kaiwing now unseen. They get the depth charge. It's a double knockup and it's really nice, but the interruption comes in. The Impale is so good. Chris blasts so incredibly long though, as Kanavi will get taken down in the end. Knockups are plenty here as Driver tries to get himself out, but the DPS from top esports is too high. They win out in the fight, and it is going to be the smite actually landing in favor of CFO. I thought maybe in the chaos top esports was able to take it down, but those feats of strength are still live.
Yeah, still live. Not actually fully secured just yet here by the side of top esports, even though they end up winning the ensuing fight. Take a look at that flank though from Kaiwing and Doggo, as well as that TP coming through from the Sion here. As you can see how low it gets, but it is smoked by JunJia. Driver's on the backside here, and 369 just isn't able to really do damage. But at the same time, well, all it takes is a big turn here, and JackeyLove is just doing free damage. The target selection a little bit disjointed here on the side of CFO, and even though it was a big Emperor's Divide in terms of targets hit, it didn't hit the big one, which was that Corki that is still able to layer all that damage. Now, JackeyLove hits the 2 items. He won the fight without that Muramana. Now he's got it. He's one big tier stack away from actually transforming it as well. And now, top esports are really hitting their stride. Despite, again, having a small gold deficit here, looking very good. They gave the objective, though, critically. Yep. Now looking to actually get that final one to secure the feats of strength here.
Yeah, Kaiwing moving on over, but I don't think there's going to be any commitment. I think this is smart from CFO, identifying the fact that, yeah, this is Muramana completion, the transformation there from JackeyLove as well. Drivers in the bottom lane. There's no way for them to get anything done, and some crucial flashes were utilized in that last fight for CFO. So they give away the feats of strength. Doggo still wanting to position himself in this mid lane to try and take this down, as another engage from Kaiwing as he just walks it off. The Peacemaker's fantastic, and they take down the turret. That is a big deal here for CFO, especially if they can get away Kanavi a little bit too late on the wraparound.
This is a very close game still. I think one of the big things to mention is the lack of grubs for this Azir too. So if left in the side lane isn't really going to be hitting super hard, despite the fact that he went for a Nashor's Tooth. Like, he will hit decently hard. He is Azir in a side, but it's not like he's going to be making the turrets disappear in 2 seconds like Azir would be if he was the one who had the 6 grubs on his side.
Yep.
But I think that the game here is where Top Esports want it, but they need to keep it there. In a one-loss team fight, one mistake, one catch, JackeyLove's bounty goes over, and then suddenly you're feeling really good about CFO's chances. The gold is even, and Top Esports need to wrestle control here in these next few objective fights. We're able to get this Herald. They can pick up some gold potentially here off of this wave they're stacking onto this turret.
All right, Kanavi is going to drive that one into the turret. As now JunJia looking for an opportunity. Should be able to find an Impale, but can he stay alive as Equalizer is just cooking him? However, they just take down Jackie. The Keeper's Verdict gets rid of Kaiwing, but a lot of the damage has already been done. It's a 1-for-1. They don't manage to take out the turret. An ace in the hole. No one really wants to tank that one. Is HongQ going to be denied here by Chris? No real punishment, though, as the Azir was just fishing for an opportunity. CFO, it's a 1-for-1. They keep their turret alive, but the charge still does a fair bit of damage.
I feel like the damage done to the turret is significant, but losing JackeyLove and that shutdown going over as well really puts a big grind to a halt to your gears here of controlling this mid-game. And they look for this pick on the JunJia. Unfortunately, JunJia is like basically the most fed member here for CFO. He's very difficult to kill. Ends up getting the shutdown as well onto the Corki here. And they don't end up getting the turret. If he was able to isolate anyone else in the front line with that charge from the Herald, I think it would be a good play here, but maybe should have slow played it to try to siege the turret instead. And they end up getting punished.
Well, you can see Doggo still parked in this mid lane, catching wave after wave, as he does have his turret still up. A little bit dangerous here for Jackie, as we can see, but he's got barrier and flash. Unfortunately, wasn't able to use them to keep himself alive in that last little skirmish. And Arakan is going to be on the rift here in a couple of seconds, so even more options here as far as these objectives to fight over. It's Ruinous this time around as well. Wolf, is this your first time casting a Ruinous Arakan?
Yeah, it actually is. Well, I'm glad to get my flowers finally.
Yeah, here it is.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. And see when that fight will occur. As last game, I was hopeful maybe we would get it, but we ended up just having a little bit of withdrawals again.
Yeah. Driver is a level behind. 369 actually pretty powerful at the moment. 800 gold in the lead as far as his matchup is concerned, as Jackie taking so much damage. Doggo flashing out of the way of Crisp as well. Gives him the thumbs up. Man, Doggo kind of feeling himself here at the moment.
And I think he should. He trades flash here.
Oh dear, Jackie in trouble. HongQ gets the barrier around. There's the anchor to the head to take down the Corki.
I mean, HongQ, he's already pretty big. He would love a little bit more gold, but I think he's still okay with Kaiwing picking this one up. That's no Corki on the map here as Dragon is up for CFO. And they're looking to take it here early. No real response, no way to get in here. Vision control right now for Flying Oyster means that there's just no way Top Esports can contest. There's no top side objective for Top Esports to take either. So a big win here.
Oh, Drive is driving.
He's
driving.
driving.
A big moment. Gets the knock up, gets another knock up, and Creme's going to take some damage. I don't think he's going to die. Of course, the Kingslayer is available. The Driver is still just being frustrating. Chasing after him here. He's got his Rook Burn completed.
I mean, he's so tanky. He has so much magic resistance. It's hard to actually side lane against him. And if you get full comboed with the ult into the fully charged Q,
yeah,
you're just like, oh, well, that's half my health bar.
He doesn't even have his Titanic Hydra completed yet, which was his second item. I think it was like Warden's Mail into Titanic Hydra last time around. And he does so much damage. You just destroy minion waves as well. It's really,
and
really
Creme
cool.
is doing so little damage to him.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're like, all right, finally, your combo's done. It's my turn. As this is a great play from Doggo. Fantastic movement. Flash is there as well. Crisp trying to look for that play. And because of a greedy recall here for JackeyLove, he's taken down in part due to that great play there from Doggo moments before. So this is a huge pick, which leads to Dragon.
Well, now let's see what's going to lead to an Arakan take. That's the question. As the turret does go down, that is a lot of space being bought here by CFO. Making the map for Top Esports as small as possible.
I mean, Doggo's hit 2 items here. He is going to be hitting hard.
Yeah, and with the Yuntal, I feel like it does help the 2-item spike for a Caitlyn. Often we talk about like 3 or 4 being the time where she's really happy. I think Collector Infinity Edge was okay, but also with the Yuntal Infinity Edge, you're feeling all right there as well, especially with the added attack speed. So nicely done there.
Yeah.
Decent spike.
This is... I don't think this can be a take here for Top Esports. For a second, I thought they were going to Hail Mary it, and I don't think the game state is that desperate, but they are going to try for this. And Driver does not have teleport. They're aware of that, and maybe they think they can actually burst this down quickly enough, but I'm not so sure myself, and I think they do tend to agree as they back away.
Yeah, he's got unstoppable onslaught. He can drive his way up there.
Yeah. Now remember, this means 369 because Driver doesn't have teleport, has to walk up, can push for this bottom turret. So they get a tempo play out of it. But maybe a leash here as CFO are looking to turn this one around.
Yeah, this is a bit of a thanks for the leash question mark type situation here as Driver has such a phenomenal angle on the flank. 369's teleporting in. The Keeper's Verdict gets rid of the Nautilus, but the Smite is still there. And Kanavi just going to get thrown out. The Emperor's Divide goes down. That is going to be JunJia taking down the Otacon. But is it going to be enough to win them the fight? As the Impale onto Creme, that's going to take down the Sylas. They do manage to get one back, but it's a triple for the young man in the mid lane from CFO. And they also get all of these flowers as well. Man, what an incredible turning point. They already had a slight lead, but now it's like 2.5K.
Yeah, it's massive here. And what this may be a bit of a tragic end to this series here for Top Esports as they commit to the Keeper's Verdict. But unfortunately, they don't get the target that's really going to be a game changer here.
And Kanavi's in there by himself.
Kanavi's by himself because he knows they burnt it so low. He has to be there for the Smite fight. He inevitably loses here. The Equalizer is decent, but there's just not a lot of follow-up, and it's so late because 369 didn't have a great ward to teleport to where he could make an impact instantly. So yes, he has the slow teleport, comes over, the new teleport is a little bit slower, gets in there, doesn't actually have the ability to impact the team fight, and end up losing out. And knocking the Nautilus away isn't really going to stop the fast burn on the Otacon there that CFO had, and Top Esports end up losing out in a huge way here.
Yeah. And it's kind of nutty. I actually really loved the trap wall from Doggo, making it really hard for them to get in regardless of what was going on. As Kaiwing looking for another opportunity. Oh man, Kanavi just thrown into the wall, does get down the ulti, but now he's looking to try and go in crisp on an angle, wants to try and find a priority target. He gets HongQ, gets him into the wall, and he should be taken down, but he goes golden before anything can happen. Driver going to be taken out, but JunJia is so tanky. Driver is now the zombie mode, pushing them away here, and Doggo is still deadly on this Caitlyn, but a much better fight than what it could have been for Top Esports.
Crisp?
Oh, Crisp not going to die to that one. He's Poppy.
No Collector. And, you know, he is going to live. He is very tanky. But man, that was a little bit of a disrespectful fight for CFO, to be honest, because that's a JunJia that you're locking down here as Kaiwing does still have his ultimate, so he can absorb a ton of the damage here. And now you're actually funneling into an Equalizer, so a bit haphazard here. I think really seeing blood in the water, but ultimately this ends up being a way better fight here for Top Esports. I think that they would be able to ordinarily get at this game state because of the geography of which CFO ended up taking this fight. Driver peels them away, or peels so they can get away. Otherwise, maybe they could have gotten more out of that, but CFO need to be careful because a few more fights like that, then suddenly Top Esports are back in this.
Do you know what? This might be like a little bit too much. You know, maybe it's not the decision-making that they were going through, but CFO at that point in time was 2 minutes away from this Cloud Soul point. You can kind of just throw something out there and see what sticks, right? They already had a lot of control. There wasn't a lot to fight for at that moment. And so now you can see all 5 of them back on the map, still with a lot of control. And if that play does work out, then you'll maybe able to take an inner turret and then get full control over this Dragon Pit.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, I mean, you just get to reset and then the Dragon is going to be up. So now we're fighting for Soul Point. TES just wanting to try and deny it as best they can. Oh man, just one extra link in that chain. And it would have been a good one. Crisp spotted on the flank angle as Kanavi in there. The Sand Soldier's doing some work. Creme with the Emperor's Divide already hijacked. But JunJia just gets rid of him. They dive on top of the Sylas. The Dragon's still at 4K as the fight continues to break out. Kaiwing should be eviscerated, but mid for support you'll take. Driver still extraordinarily low, and that's the Dragon denied as it goes over to Kanavi. It's once again another 1-for-1 as JunJia looking to try and pick one off. Crisp could be the target, takes a boulder to the noggin, and HongQ gonna push him away. So some Alcove Gaming not gonna work out here for the Poppy as CFO will grab a straggler.
That was such a great collapse onto Creme from CFO. And the fight ends up being pretty close, right? And ultimately they do end up winning in the kills, but they don't get the Dragon. So this buys some additional time here for Top Esports. They do have now a single Dragon to their name. But look at the chunking onto Creme. And then JunJia, with this control ward, has full vision, and he's just ready to go. They end up locking this one down. Now Top Esports respond in kind instantly here, and Kaiwing is taken down. Driver incredibly tanky, so difficult to lock him down and kill him, but it buys enough space as they push the front line away to to get the dragon. They know, though, against this double threat of this fed Azir and Doggo, who's now fully online, they cannot win the ensuing fight, so have to then retreat. I think they played it about as well as they could have there after losing their mid laner.
Yeah, the problem is, it's only going to get worse here for Top Esports, right? Like, their sun is setting as far as this composition is concerned. And yeah, they do have like a fair bit of, you know, scaling opportunities. There's some poke to come through from the Corki, things like that you can talk about. But like, this is 2 mega tanks in the Skarner and the Sion. And Corki is not known for his tank busting. Yes, he's got a Lord Doms, but I don't know whether it's going to be enough steadfast presence. Maybe not as steadfast as Chris wants it to be as they do dive in. JunJia going to be pulling back Kanavi, though, as the Equalizer burning down the Skarner. So the Skarner not going to get barbecued today. Not too worried about it, as Creme spotted on that trinket.
Yeah, he's just going to have to leave here, and Baron is up. JunJia is fairly low here.
3 items, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is still kind of greedy. Let's see if Creme can find an angle. His hijack is just now available again.
Yep. Driver, I think, with a health bar that is much larger than it has any right to be at this point in the game.
Just need to kind of reshuffle here and push Driver to block 369, and they can try to burn this down. Creme looking for the flank.
Oh, yeah, HongQ almost actually caught out. There's JackeyLove just scooped up, and Creme diving into the back. He wants to be a hero, but it's desperation from Top Esports. Another clean sweep for CFO. What is this?
I mean, CFO, I think, could do no wrong, it feels like today, and they pull it off again. And look at the setup here. Kaiwing and JunJia, I mean, they are just a 2-man, lock somebody down and kill them squad here. The Hex Flash over the wall. They find Kanavi, and yes, the Crescent Guard buys some time, but he is just pulled back, and the Impale is down. So you're feeling like, okay, maybe there's an angle here. Creme's on the flank, but he can't actually set anything up. Gets his hijack, grabs the Nautilus ult, but look at how Driver zones 369 out. They have the traps down as well. HongQ finds JackeyLove as he's trying to aggressively position to do damage, but Top Esports could not have been more split. And part of it was positional error, but I think a lot of it was the way that that was handled by CFO. Completely blocking the Rumble out, catching JackeyLove there, and just saying, yeah, Creme, you've got the flank, but it's too late, buddy. There's nothing you can do. And down goes the Baron. Red Bull Baron power play here already stacking up at 2K, and man, Flying Oyster are flying away with this one.
They are looking so incredibly good. And I just want to stay, as an Australian, these guys are now representing my region.
There you go.
There we go. Oh, man. Everybody else from OCE in the chat, please make yourselves known. This is our team, and they are doing the unthinkable here at First Stand. Absolutely incredible performance, only losing so far to Humble Life Esports, and I now want to see that rematch now that they've got their eyes in here at Lol Park. They're going to be taking down some inner turrets, and it looks like they're dotting some I's and crossing some T's. Is not going to get stunned up. Is this Sion? Doesn't really mind about it either because he looks pretty immortal. Is now just zoning away JackeyLove, and HongQ! He finds him! No flash can get you out of that one, and he goes golden to keep himself alive. They get a couple. There's a keeper's verdict from Chris, but unfortunately, he's not able to read the verdict. That is CFO that are capable of doing so. They're the last men standing. They get to write their history this time. As minions getting pushed in, I think this is just going to be the Red Bull Baron power play that wins them this series.
It's looking like this is just the end of it. CFO, a huge performance here today, taking out Top Esports in a dominant 2-0. Also locking KC into the semifinals, a huge win for them. They were already locked in themselves. The stakes were not on them. They were on the remaining teams, but they played like it mattered, like this was a semifinal match. And man, Kaiwing was the only one to die in that last team fight. He took his hands off his keyboard, put him on the chair, and he had this big grin on his face because he knew it was over. He knew they took out old rivals here in Top Esports. And man, this team has gone from strength to strength, I feel, in some ways, but it's been incremental improvements throughout the entirety of First Stand. And that's the dance we've been waiting for.
There he is. Oh my God. What an incredible performance here from CFO. But it is now time for us to go to a short break. Before we come back, no one is eliminated yet. All right, break time, then the final series of groups.